Before we jump into this episode, a quick update from the team here at the Foil Project. Desert Winds Downwind Foiling the Ningaloo is available online now at thefoilproject.com. If you enjoy the podcast and want to support the Foil Project, the best possible way you can do this is by renting Desert Winds at thefoilproject.com. The 47-minute documentary takes you on the 300-kilometre journey from Red Bluff to Mildura Wreck, where we get to traverse amazing coastline, see the most beautiful animals, and have the absolute adventure of a lifetime. From the live reactions of over 700 people who got to see the film on the Australian tour, I can promise that you will enjoy it. It feels right to give back to this beautiful place that gave us such an amazing adventure. So 5% of all online sales are going to be donated to the conservation organisation Protect Ningaloo. By raising awareness and taking considered action, I truly hope that we can conserve beautiful places like this around the world for generations to come. So please head to thefoilproject.com, check out Desert Winds, and I hope you enjoy this episode of the Foil Project. Cheers. All right, welcome, Trent and Alex.
Thanks for coming.
No worries. So we've just finished doing our second M2O training run for the week. You guys are probably better at describing the run that we just did.
Shelley Beach in Caloundra to Sunshine Beach in Noosa.
It's the longest run we can do on the coast, really, without having to do too much logistics, like going to Double Island to get 4 drives, or going to Bobby Island in the bay.
It was 44 or 45 today, and then 47 yesterday, depending on the line you take.
Yeah.
But about 45 Ks.
Sick. And what was the review yesterday? Was pretty intense. At least for me, I kind of started getting to the end, and it was getting big, and I was just sort of holding on for dear life, which caused Tibby to play the Staying Alive tune before we went out today, but it turned out to be completely different today and was more of a pump fest.
Yeah.
So
yesterday I reckon was one of our better runs that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And then today was much more onshore. So yesterday it was hanging on, and today you're working a bit harder for it.
Yeah.
It was like we never get the swell coming from swell and the wind in the same direction coming from the south. And yesterday was sort of the start of the wind system coming through, and the swell was just that much better.
Yeah, it was sick.
And it was a bit more onshore today, but we got some good times yesterday. It was freaking awesome.
Well, you guys were saying, did you say, Tibby, you had a kilometre where you got rode 3 different swells the entire way? So for the entire kilometre, you only had 3 bumps, basically.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Did you have any
There's
like
a couple
that?
of them. It was firing.
Yeah, you were riding them for, like
400 metres.
Yeah, a couple of 100 metres per swells. It's not normally like that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's mental.
Yeah.
I think you said to me, Trent, that I was pulling off them too early, which from the sounds of it was what I was doing, but I'll work on it. I think my brain just sort of got overwhelmed by about 30 kilometres and was like, right, that's enough. That's enough of dropping down bombs.
Welcome back to the East Coast.
Welcome to the East Coast.
I'm used to chasing Tibby the whole time, so
yeah.
I was watching you. I was like, you need to watch Tibby on the big bombs, and it was good though. Good fun.
This is the Foil Project podcast. Welcome to the Australian tour. Sick.
Yep.
The other thing that took place yesterday was the free ticket competition, the Desert Winds entry competition. So maybe Trent, you want to run us through what happened there, because you were the one that started the whole thing.
Yeah, a bit of. I heard you were coming over for the screening, and I just put it out there. I said, I'll race you on our local run, just the shorter run. So we linked it up. We just all decided. Shelley Beach to Point Cartwright, and we'll just do that sort of 13k stretch. And if I beat you there, I got free entry into the screening, and if you beat me, I would pay you twice the ticket entry. So basically, just a $20 bet, and I think you put that out there to Tibby as well. And we did it. And
Well, we all started off, and then unfortunately, Tibby was off like in a flash.
Yeah.
He stood up and
Straight
was
up.
gone.
I think everyone led at some point.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy. Tibby got the best start. You and I were like left there.
Yeah, we were sitting there like, just going, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then I got up, and then I looked back, and you were still there.
Yeah, I had a glamour start, about a minute behind. So, it was a bit of work to make up. And, in the end, Tibby got us, and I fell at the end, and then you got me, and we were all sort of 30 seconds apart. So it was a good little tussle. So Tibby first, Hugh second, and me third.
Yeah.
Making
Close.
money, baby, making money.
Yeah, so the end up result is Trent, you owe me 20, and then I owe Tibby 20.
Yep.
So we're doing a little exchange there, but it's all
20?
worked out well.
Money's in the glove box if you
Money's in the glove
if
box.
you want to get it out.
I'll grab it out and hand it straight to Tibby. And we'll go from
Yeah.
there. Well, maybe from there, guys, do you want to just tell us a bit about how you got into foiling? What was the start? We already actually had.
I think I've had this conversation with you.
Yeah, you've had it on the podcast before. So if you want to hear, if you want to hear Tibby's story, you're now one of the very few people who's been in 2 episodes of the Foil Project.
Woo!
So yeah, sick. Trent, do you want to just let us know about how you got into the sport?
Well, I was always sailing as a kid. I got into dinghy sailing early ages, 8, 9 years old. Sabos, flying 11s, 420s, all the dinghy sports, competition sailing. So introduced to competition and racing pretty early. And whenever it got windy, we'd go windsurfing. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of where I really got into that wave sailing side of things. And that took me on a few trips to Maui. And on one particular trip, I think 2018, I can look back through because I broke my ankle. I got my foot stuck in the foot strap at Hakeepa, and I went over the falls and broke my ankle, tore a couple of tendons, and then I had a week's left on the trip, and I was sitting there on the hill, and I saw a couple of guys prone foiling out there. And I waited till they came in. It was Keith Taboo, KT foils, and I just said, what's this? I'd seen kite foiling back home, and I'd never seen anyone prone foiling, and he gave me his board. I didn't have a foil. He said, no, there's none available. So I came home. I had Keith's board, and I searched around, and right then I think Kailani and Carlos had started that MFC foil brand.
Yeah,
and I ordered one of those MFC foils and got into it from there.
Sick.
My dad had one of those early foils. He was kite foiling, and he had one of those early North foils, the green board with the rail between the front wing and the tail wing. Did you ever see those ones?
No.
Yeah. So I think like the front wing and the rear wing were like the same size, and they had rails between the wing tips and your stab wing tips. And I think the idea was that you wouldn't fall into the wing or something like that. And so that's probably the first foil I rode was that one. And then after that, I got into it via an MFC foil and
it's
and
crazy.
Keith's board.
I remember like when MFC started releasing those foils. I think at that time I just got a foil. It was like an Axis gear.
Yep.
I remember it was sort of like I was at the age where I was a kid. I had no money. I couldn't afford foils, but I was like daydreaming about like what could be. And I was like online, I was like, that thing looks insane. Like that's like all I could dream about was getting one of those MFC foils because you see Kailani riding or whatever.
Totally.
And like,
well, that's what I did. I thought, I saw Keith and Kai and a few of the other guys at Hakeepa riding them and thought, just wait, I'll get one of those. That's got to be the go.
Yeah.
And I took it back and learned at the beach break at Witala, and the worst possible spot to learn in a short dumping hollow wave, and probably 200 or 300 waves before I even got to my feet. And, I didn't know that you should go behind a boat or in a river mouth or anything like that. And so that's where I learnt. And then from there, just started to get the hang of it. And I met a guy down at Caloundra Bar. He was riding an Armstrong setup. I didn't know, no one would sell the stuff anyway. I got a setup through him, the old 1550 Armstrong gear, and
Sick.
started riding those. And then when we get the northerlies, I would only ride at Witala, just out the front of my place. And then when we got the northerlies, I started doing little beach runners down the beach. I didn't know about downwinding or anything like that, and just start doing these downwinders, prone downwinders, and go further and further out to sea. And then one day I saw a guy even further out than me and foiling. I thought, I'll just try and catch up to him. And I fell and had to paddle back into the beach. And I saw him fall as well. And then he paddled back up, and that was Tibby.
Tibby.
I didn't even know him at the time. And that was my first, like, what is this? Like, you don't have to go back to the beach. You can, and so from there I was like, right, gotta get one of those. And that was, I'm not quite sure the year, maybe 2022, like when Armstrong came out with that I got the 7.2, 22 inch maybe, their first downwind board.
Sweet.
And just had an 11.25 and just thought, rightio, that's how I'm gonna do it. So I started trying, just go every day until I could paddle up.
Tibby, I know you said it maybe on the other one, but what gear do you reckon you were using at that time when Trent saw you?
At that time? Oh, hell. I think it
You
could
had
have
the
been...
blue Clamor, I think you had.
And the blue Clamor, yeah. That was after the big box Conrad thing.
Yeah.
It was Armstrong, I think it was the 11.25.
Sick.
Or every now and again, I think I had the 1550 V2 when I was trying to downwind that.
Yeah, sweet.
So that was it.
So if I'm on the same floor, I still can't catch him down. So how would I do it then?
Yeah. But yeah, awesome. And then you were also telling me earlier about a big run that you did, one of your first downwind
from there,
experiences.
I couldn't paddle up. I had no SUP experience, so I couldn't paddle up at all. But I was quite good at doing prone downwinders. So I had like a bit of success early on the SUP because I would paddle out, not very far, 50, 100 meters beyond the break, go, right, this is it, go, and have a couple of attempts at trying to paddle up. And then if I didn't get it, I'd just go into the beach break, chip into one, then downwind. And then from proning, you very rarely fall because you don't want to paddle back in. So then I'd just do the whole run. I sort of started to get to know these guys, but didn't really know them. And they invited me on a run, which was the reverse of what we just did today, 45 Ks, Sunshine Beach. It was a northerly back to Shelley Beach. And,
yeah, right.
And that was really the first time that I'd probably met Dave and Matt Nottage and Dylan. And was that all that we had? Was that all that was there that day?
I think so. Can't remember.
Yeah. And
I think some other boys were doing some shorter run.
I hadn't really ever paddled up in the middle of a run. Like if you fall like today or something like that and you think, oh, righty, I'll paddle back up.
Yeah, never done that.
No, never. Thought, right, 45 Ks, I got this, you'll be right. Yeah. And you were on the backyard board then, that sinker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, I don't even know these guys. That's cool. We'll go. We paddled out to the Shark Boys at Sunshine Beach. It wasn't really that windy. And when they picked me up, a storm had just gone through as well. It started raining when you guys picked me up at my house, but we thought we're going anyway. But it was sus, the conditions. And paddled out. These guys all took off. Tibby and I left behind. Nottage and Dave and Dylan, they were all gone. And Tibby was having a bit of trouble because he was on the small board. Then he got up and I was on my own. I thought, that's okay. Now that they're gone, I'll paddle into the shore break. Yeah. That's my trick. No dramas, I'll do that. Get up. So into the shore break, boom, chipped up, away we go. But anyone that was in the sort of bump hunters race would know, like, it's a fair cut around Old Woman Island in the northerly. So you've got to get a fair way out to sea. I was like, all right, I'll just start cutting out. It's okay. She'll be right. I'll be right. And I got a fair way out, and then I sort of like lost sight of the island. It was a storm coming through, like a southwest change, and it goes offshore when it's like that. And I thought, what do I do here? Start cutting back in towards Coolum a little bit to sort of shorten the distance. And the sort of storm moved through and out. And I thought, I've got to go back out to get around Old Woman Island. So I cut back out again and ran straight into the storm, came down, and then now I'm way outside Old Woman, very first time I've ever done this run. And I called my wife back on my Apple Watch and said, I can see the lights of the airport. I can see old woman way inside and to the right of me. I'm just going to paddle into the breeze. So it was straight offshore. Lie down, I'll paddle in. And when I get to the land, I'll call you and let you know where I'm at. And it was fine. I think it took me an hour and a half to paddle into the beach from there. And that was that. And then from there, I spoke to the boys, and from there, that's where I decided to do the M2O as well.
Yeah, wow.
Because they were like,
that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. So
from shore runners to M2O, that's cool.
Yeah.
What was your experience of that, Tibby? Like, do you remember that specific run that you guys went on together? Like,
I remember the start because it was me and him. I was struggling at the start.
Yeah.
And then he just disappeared. We hit the storm, but we were able to pump through it. It like glassed off for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There's just enough residual swell. So we kept going, but never heard from him again.
Yeah. But then from there, you guys obviously do a lot of runs together now.
Yeah.
What's sort of like the main crew here that you're going with to do all the runs up on the Sunshine Coast?
Well, we did have a sort of big crew when we were all sort of just kind of getting into it, but it sort of turned into us. I don't know, we can be competitive, but we still like to push each other as well in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sort of, because we're now we're on long runs, doing them quite quick as well. It's sort of me, Westy, Kai when he can, and Trent sort of sticking together.
Yeah, sweet.
Because we can just, with work as well, we can just pick up and leave and go when the wind's on. Yeah. It's just kind of hard to get everyone together.
Yeah, it's pretty time efficient now as well. Like downwinders like today, you know, like you can blow a fair bit of time doing the shuffle and mucking around, and sort of got to the point now we all know each other and know where we're at a fair bit. So we'll paddle up all pretty well at the same time. You can talk through the run, it's enjoyable, and then you come in at the same time. Like there's not too much waiting around. Yeah. So
I guess we kind of managed to do these the last 2 days, but I ended up always a little bit behind.
No, but not much. Like,
yeah,
do you know
it was
what I mean?
A few minutes, which is different to waiting for someone for half an hour.
And those early days that you're doing that.
Remember, we haven't had good wind for a while either, so we're trying to get the most out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, skills, improve our skills for this weekend that we just had.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those early days when you're learning, the time gap between runs, like someone that's got it and someone that just doesn't quite have it, or that takes a bit longer to get up, you know, you might be waiting sort of 20 minutes, half an hour at the end. And so, I don't know, like
longer.
It's good going with the guys there.
Sick.
Sort of,
picking people up on the way.
Yeah. The other thing
sometimes still happens.
I reckon I'd also just like to ask a bit more about what you were doing like before foiling. So obviously you're saying sailing and windsurfing were the main two things.
Yep. Really?
Were you ever doing competitive windsurfing?
All the local competitions are around the Sunshine Coast. Lots of windsurfing. Really, that's the main sport that I did, and that's what's sort of got me into this one. And then I guess I would kite foil as well. My wife Beck, she would kite and she liked to twin tip, and you know, she didn't like the waves too much. So for me, I got into kite foiling as well, just because that would be something that we do in the same sort of spot, and it would allow me to go in a bit lighter breeze with her.
Yeah, sweet.
And between that and windsurfing, and then winging sort of came along in that same sort of time. You know, after proning was definitely first, and about the same time as the downwinding, doing winging at the same time. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tibby, I don't know if we really asked you in the last one a bit more about your like background. I know you've done heaps of like clubby stuff, but I forget what you call it. You're doing like the long distance races.
Yeah, so my background was surf lifesaving. The New Grain series, Coolangatta Golds.
Yeah, cool.
I did that sort of through my youth. Grew up around the ocean, so.
Do you reckon that's...
Definitely had advantage in how to read swell, but also love the long distance ocean.
So that's mainly like sat down?
Yeah, all sit down, yeah.
Yeah.
Ski, board, swim, run, all that sort of stuff.
Sweet.
That's my background.
Do you reckon that's kind of like, do you feel like your competitive nature that you maybe had in that has kind of transferred over to...
Yeah, obviously you don't forget that. And,
you
just keep pushing yourself. You sort of know some training techniques and...
For sure. Keep pushing yourself in a different sport.
Yeah. Standing up, going downwind twice as fast. is much more inviting.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you guys, do you feel like the main goal at the moment for Downwind is probably like training for the Hawaiian races each year? Or like, is there other stuff that you have in mind? Like what's kind of fueling your desire to go out there and push yourself every time and go fast and do long runs like we've done the last 2 days?
I think it changes where you're at, depending on where you're at with your foiling. Like for our first year, I'm sure Tibby's similar, but in my experience, like the first year, I didn't really know the courses, the M2M, the M2O. I knew the area. I'd been to Maui quite a few times, but never to that west side and never to Molokai. So it was all just getting as much foiling experience. Last year, time on the water, we'd go 3-4 times a week, and then in those days we'd do 3 runs in a day. And I think this year there's a lot more training and a lot more fitness and that more sort of thing.
Training.
Yeah, more cross training. Yeah, you're right. And I guess to answer your question, we're for sure, for me, it's a lot about the downwind racing at the moment.
Yeah.
We've all got surf wings, but they're just in the bags at the moment, eh?
Yeah, you're ready to race.
Gathering dust, so it doesn't affect your pumping style and cadence and all of that sort of feel that you get for your race wing. You get it dialed. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What was your goal for this year then, Trent? You were telling me that there's a specific...
I want to win the over 40s for sure. No hiding that. Hey,
no hiding it.
No. Well, why not? You got to have a goal, and that's definitely my goal.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it looks like that's potentially an achievable goal. That'd be pretty sick.
Well, it was the worst age to compete against these guys last year. 39, and it was sort of like you're at the top end of the age bracket that you're on, and now being 40, I feel like, and it was the first time I'd done the course, so now you've got a year's worth of experience. You know what you need to do. You know where to stay. You know all those sorts of things, and now I'm the youngest in the next age bracket up. So,
sick.
Yeah,
you better win, mate. You better win. No pressure. But
who's some of the people you're competing against?
I think Jimmy did that video. I didn't know some of the guys as well, so I watched his video and then I was like
jotting it all down.
You're saying social media. I'm like, who's this? Yeah.
What's their quickest K?
I
guess.
Right. No. So look, taking it serious but having fun as well. That's definitely the goal for this year for me.
Awesome. How about you, Tibby?
You're against the Tartaroos and the Army and Kasane.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think Ben and Marcus are doing it this year, but anyway,
Yeah. And then also, who else? Army Armstrong, is he in that age category as well?
I think he's even in the one. I don't know how they do it.
Plus 50.
Because I think he's over 50.
Wow.
So I think there's 50 to 59, but I always thought it was like under 40s and over 40s, but the way that it sort of looks as though it's like, it's under 18 and then the 19 to 29 and 29 to 39 and then over 40 and then over 50. So I'm not sure exactly how the age brackets work that way, but I just know I'm trying to win the over 40s.
Sick.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Go, son.
It'll be cool to see how you go. I reckon it's going to be it sounds like a tough competition.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You're going to froth it when you get over there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, it's going to be so much fun. Yeah.
Enjoy the experience.
It looks like the froth is real.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we've made it to our
back to the car.
We're back to the car, finished the car drop. So maybe we'll just finish with what's like something you guys are looking forward to in the sport, or what do you reckon? What do you envision? Oh, actually, I got to ask a little bit about the prototyping wings that you've been doing. You don't have to say any specifics. But just like these guys, you've been testing some pretty crazy foils that I've briefly seen. Do you want to just let us know, it almost looks to me now like the problem's not so much the design or shape of the wings. It's like, how can you make something that's thin enough and still strong enough and won't snap under your weight? Do you want to just talk through maybe the process of what's been happening at Cloud recently?
Well, There's
what?
Kai and myself and Chucho have been riding their downwind wings, and we're all sort of like a similar size, and we all want to do well in the M2O. So Carl and Cloud9, they've been pushing the boundaries on where we can go with the downwind wings, and smaller area, higher aspect to help you ride that smaller area, and then how thin you can go, but then the limitations of the materials. So we're just trying to find where that limit is with the material, and
red hot.
try and get something that doesn't break but is as quick as possible. So definitely pushing the boundaries, and I guess all will be revealed over in Hawaii. We'll see how it goes.
I don't want to ask you too in-depth questions on it, but I'm just interested, like, testing process for you.
Yep.
Like, what are you, after trying these wings, like, what's something that's good and what's something that's bad about these sort of different aspect ratios?
Oh yeah, for sure. We all sit down. Like, that's the best thing about small teams. So I did M2O and then was just on production gear, and that's really where I saw Kai's wing and was like, wow, far out. If I want to go in the over 40s, I'm 40 next year. That was always the plan back then. Do it at 39, then have a real good crack at 40. Well, I needed to be on,
something crazy.
On quicker gear. And so Cloud, Gold Coast, Kai, similar weight to me, faster. Like, it just seemed like a good fit. So I got involved with those guys. And then the best thing about a small team is that we all get in and all talk in a group as to how it's going, what we think is good about the wings, what we think is not so good. And then Carl can make changes, and then we get changes straight out of the factory, and we have a go at that one. Oh, do we like it? Do we not like it? Where are we going with it? And then try and change again. And then eventually we settle on a size that we like, and we go with that. And then we try it with the next size down or the next size up. And so that's where we're at. And I've got a couple of pretty high aspect wings in there, and they
it seems like
good.
from my like perspective on what like you guys are doing, it seems like a cool spot to be as like an athlete trying to do something, like having someone like Carl basically like trying to give you the best equipment possible, and then getting that like quick feedback. It looks cool.
It's crazy. I can't believe it. I'm 40 and I'm like, you just like right at the cutting edge of a brand. It's crazy. So you pinch yourself. It's awesome. So it's exciting to race, and obviously it's exciting to race on good gear. So
I mean, it's more fun if you feel like the gear you're on is super competitive, and
not everything works for sure, but that's all just a part of it. And when you find something that doesn't work and you think, oh, that didn't work, well, I think when you do get something to work, it makes it even better.
Sure. Sick. Well, I'll go to that. Maybe one for both of you guys. Just like, what are you looking forward to, or what? Maybe not so much for this year, but like, where do you see the sport going down the track? Like, are you just pretty set on racing, you think, for like the next couple of years, or you're open to like other avenues? Where's your like headspace?
I'm just loving seeing the slow, steady growth of competitions popping up around the country. Yeah, and just the ability to explore the coastlines whilst on foil.
Yeah, for sure.
And then have the motivation to go to the other cities and do that. That's what excites me the most, and also seeing the movie that you're about to premiere.
Yeah,
seeing that sort of shit excites me so much, and just seeing that grow within the country.
Epic.
That excites me.
You've had some sick. You've been telling me some cool ideas recently, Tibby, about some big missions that you guys
got a couple of missions coming up
had in mind.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to put it out there, but like if you had, do you want to summarize some of them, or just like?
They're just long runs on the East Coast around probably exactly between the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast.
Sick.
So around the outside of Morton or straight to the coast.
I imagine if that's happening, it's like the kind of thing that you guys and Kai like wouldn't want to miss out on.
We're going to go as a group. Trying to work that one out.
Yeah, sick.
That seems to be the four, like Dave, Kai, Tibby, and myself. Like, it just seems if someone comes up with an idea,
we're trying to push each other to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
That's freaking exciting.
Yeah. And I feel like we've sort of had the same thing kind of happen in Perth a bit. Like, there's lots of people doing the sport, but you all sort of end up finding like the group of people who are kind of got similar ideas and wanting to do similar things to you, and you kind of just end up doing everything together.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you just got a group of people who's wanting to kind of push you and
just keep frothing out.
Yeah.
Keep frothing. It's pretty sick.
Haven't stopped the froth. It's awesome.
Yeah. How about, would a similar thing for you then, Trent? Big missions, or is there something else in mind?
Look, family and kids and everything like that, I feel like I've only got so much time to put into the sport at 100%. And we've had the conversations at home as well. Like, last year it took a lot of time and this year, probably even more. So feel like I've got this year to give it a really good crack. I don't want to sort of put too much pressure on myself. I like it to be fun more than anything else. And it still is fun, but I feel like I got this year and then we'll see how it goes over there. Whether or not, I go around again.
Yeah, sick.
And,
awesome.
Who knows? We'll just see, depending on how I go over there and then, maybe one more or not. I don't know. But then from there, like we all love surfing downwind. So I'm not going to stop doing it for sure.
Bump hunters always be out there hunting.
Yeah.
The bump, Well, the other day,
hunting, mate.
Yesterday, I was like out there thinking, I was like, we're giant bump hunting right now. It's like we're going out there to take down some beasts.
Yeah.
I'm
excited.
felt like a true bump hunter.
We're going to go over to Hawaii, but then we've got the bump hunters race, and then for sure we're all going to go back over to Perth in October or November.
November, I think.
Yeah, November.
Sick.
And then the Sydney race. So all of those races this year we'll go to, and then
cool.
and then who knows? Next
Sick.
year we'll do it again. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks, guys. I reckon if this podcast comes out and convinces like a group of guys to get together and come over and do the Perth races or come here and do the Sunshine Coast race, like that's a massive win. I'd be stoked to see everyone there.
Sweet.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for coming here.
Yeah.
Over to Sunny Coast.